The president is being asked about drones. His response made me think about something.
Federal officials say they can't confirm where these drones are from.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy.
Drones locked in a chaotic battle with glowing orbs have forced the complete shutdown of a military base. The sky above transformed into a surreal war zone, leaving experts scrambling to make sense of what happened. These weren't your average drones, they were sophisticated machines, clashing with strange, intelligent orbs. Orbs that moved like nothing ever documented before. Let us uncover the chilling truth behind this unprecedented clash, where mystery meets danger, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The day Wright-Patterson's sky fell silent. The reports described an intense scene with these objects zipping through the sky in ways that defied conventional behavior. There wasn't just one or two of these things, it was a swarm, an overwhelming presence of advanced technology causing chaos. The situation escalated quickly as air traffic controllers declared the area sterile, effectively locking down the airspace. It's clear this wasn't a precaution taken lightly, but the real shock came moments later, a chilling, undecodable signal that left even the experts paralyzed. The official explanation offered to the public feels suspiciously watered down. Media reports described it as an extra safety measure because of a few drone sightings. But let's get real. If it were just a handful of drones, would the military shut down an entire base? That's like calling in a SWAT team for a lost kite. The scale of the response suggests something far more serious than what's being publicly acknowledged. The intrigue deepens with reports of orbs accompanying these unidentified drones. These orbs weren't your standard glowing lights in the sky. Witness accounts describe them as peculiar, otherworldly objects moving with an intelligence that's hard to dismiss. The connection between the drones and these orbs has sparked a frenzy of speculation. Some observers are even linking them to recent sightings of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, adding a whole new layer of mystery to the situation. Meanwhile, whispers about a lost nuclear warhead have added an unsettling dimension to the story. A report from New Jersey, seemingly unrelated at first glance, mentioned missing radioactive material. The timing of this report coincides eerily with the events at Wright-Patterson, leading some to speculate about a possible connection. Could the two incidents be linked? And if so, what does that mean for national security? Theories are swirling, each more unnerving than the last. Is this a case of foreign espionage, with advanced technology testing the limits of U.S. defenses? Or could it be a covert military experiment so classified that even the personnel at Wright-Patterson were left in the dark? Another possibility gaining traction is that this is part of a broader effort to prepare the public for new restrictions on airspace. With technology advancing at a breakneck pace, the powers that be might see unrestricted skies as a liability. The response from authorities has an unsettling Orwellian undertone. George Orwell's cautionary tales about surveillance and control are becoming increasingly relevant. Are we witnessing the early stages of a move to regulate airspace as tightly as radio waves or broadcast signals? History has shown that such shifts often start subtly, disguised as measures for public safety. The timing of these events makes it hard to ignore the possibility that we're being prepped for a new kind of restriction. Consider this. In less urbanized areas, where people tend to take matters into their own hands, these incidents seem less frequent. Is it because local residents, armed and ready, are quick to neutralize any perceived threats in their airspace? The contrast between these regions and more regulated areas is stark and raises questions about how different communities are impacted by these developments. As we piece together the fragments of information, reports, videos, and social media chatter, a troubling picture begins to emerge. The official narratives don't align with the gravity of the situation. This isn't about fear-mongering or spinning wild tales. It's about seeking clarity and demanding accountability. When the explanations provided don't hold water, it's only natural to ask questions and push for better answers. The implications of these events are far-reaching. Beyond the immediate concerns about safety and security, there's a broader conversation to be had about the balance between technological advancement and personal freedom. As new technologies emerge, who gets to decide how they're used and who has access to them? And more importantly, what safeguards are in place to ensure that those decisions serve the public good? The historical parallels are hard to ignore. Think back to the early days of radio, when anyone could set up their own station. It was a golden age of unrestricted access to technology. But as radio grew in popularity, regulations were introduced, and suddenly, what was once a free-for-all became tightly controlled. The same pattern played out with television and, more recently, the internet. Each time, the initial freedom gave way to regulation, often justified by concerns about safety or public interest. Now we're seeing a similar trajectory with drones in airspace. The potential for misuse is undeniable, but so is the potential for innovation and progress. Striking the right balance is crucial, but it's a conversation that requires transparency and public input. The fear is that decisions are being made behind closed doors, with the public kept in the dark until it's too late to push back. One theory gaining traction is that these incidents are being used to create a sense of urgency and justify new regulations. By framing drones and unidentified aerial phenomena as threats, authorities can push for stricter controls under the guise of public safety. This approach relies on fear to drive compliance, a tactic that's been used throughout history to curtail freedoms in exchange for a promise of security. The parallels to Orwell's Animal Farm are striking. In the story, the pigs gradually alter the rules to consolidate their power, all while convincing the other animals that it's for their own good. Over time, the animals lose sight of the freedoms they once had. It's a cautionary tale that feels increasingly relevant as we navigate the complexities of modern technology and governance. There's also the question of accountability. If these incidents are indeed part of a broader strategy, who is making the decisions and who is holding them accountable? Transparency is essential, but it's often the first casualty in situations like this. The lack of clear communication only fuels speculation and mistrust, making it harder to separate fact from fiction. As for the orbs, their role in this saga remains one of the biggest mysteries. Are they part of the drone's technology, or are they something else entirely? Some researchers believe they could be evidence of advanced propulsion systems, while others speculate about extraterrestrial origins. The truth is, we don't know enough to draw definitive conclusions. But the fact that they're appearing in conjunction with these incidents adds another layer of complexity to an already convoluted story. A report of missing radioactive material adds an unsettling twist to the story. Battles in the sky. Meanwhile, the reports of missing radioactive material in New Jersey add a chilling dimension to the narrative. The idea that something as dangerous as a nuclear warhead could go missing is almost too much to comprehend. Yet the timing of this report and its possible connection to the events at Wright-Patterson cannot be ignored. If there is a link, it raises serious questions about the state of security and oversight in handling such materials. It's important to approach these incidents with a critical eye, separating speculation from evidence. But it's equally important not to dismiss them outright. The tendency to downplay or ignore inconvenient facts only serves to perpetuate ignorance and complacency. By staying informed and engaged, we can ensure that the questions raised by these events are taken seriously. Looking ahead, it's clear that the issues highlighted by these incidents are not going away anytime soon. As technology continues to evolve, the challenges and opportunities it presents will only grow. The choices we make now will shape the future, determining whether we embrace progress responsibly or succumb to fear and control. Ultimately, this is about more than just drones or orbs. It's about the kind of society we want to build and the values we want to uphold. Do we prioritize freedom and innovation, or do we let fear dictate our choices? The answers to these questions will define not only how we respond to the events at Wright-Patterson, but also how we navigate the uncharted territory of the future. For now, the best we can do is remain vigilant, ask tough questions, and demand transparency from those in power. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that complacency is the greatest threat to progress. And in a world where the skies are no longer the limit, we can't afford to look away. Imagine waking up one day to hear that a military base was completely shut down because of drones tangling with mysterious glowing orbs. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But this is real life, and it's unfolding in ways that make you want to double-check your calendar to see if it's April Fool's Day. A radioactive source, supposedly meant for safe disposal, just disappeared during transit. That's not a typo, it's gone. The shipping container showed up damaged and empty. Losing nuclear material is not like misplacing your car keys. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, NRC, even filed a report about it. They stated that a shipment sent out on December 2nd vanished by the next day. A radioactive source just decided to play hide and seek, apparently. And here's the kicker. If they don't find it in 30 days, they have to file a detailed report about what went wrong. Maybe start with step 1, don't lose nuclear stuff. While New Jersey was dealing with its Radioactive Vanishing Act, things got weirder in Ohio. An entire military base went on lockdown. Why? Drones, not your average hobbyist drones either. Think SUV-sized machines, but wait, there's more. They weren't alone. These drones were apparently duking it out with glowing blue orbs. People are calling these orbs plasmoids. Sounds cool, right? But what are they? No one seems to know. They're like ghostly dodgeballs that can disable actual drones mid-air. Someone even caught footage of this happening, which raises all kinds of questions. Are these things alive? Are they intelligent? Or is this just some high-tech prank gone way too far? Taking a broader view, there are reports, not just whispers, actual reports, about over 80 nuclear warheads from Ukraine going missing. That's not the kind of thing you casually lose track of. Combine that with the radioactive material disappearing in New Jersey, and you've got a recipe for a major headache. Theories are flying faster than the drones. Some folks think this is all part of some secret military operation. Others are pointing fingers at foreign governments or rogue groups, and then there are the conspiracy buffs who believe it's a cover for alien activity. Honestly, at this point, aliens would almost be a relief. Let's focus back on those drones. John Ferguson, the CEO of a drone manufacturing company, has chimed in on the mystery. According to him, this isn't random. These drones are likely sniffing out radiation hotspots. Makes sense when you consider the missing radioactive material. But if they're sniffing out radiation, what are those glowing orbs doing? Are they helping? Hindering? Just hanging out for the vibes? Here's where it gets tricky. The federal government's been unusually tight-lipped. No big surprise there. When weird stuff happens, no comment is practically their go-to phrase. But their silence isn't doing much to calm people down. Instead, it's feeding speculation. Some think the government is gearing up to use these incidents as an excuse to push for more military funding. Others suspect it's about restricting airspace, turning drones from fun gadgets into regulated contraband. Either way, the average person's left scratching their head, wondering what's really going on. Consider historical parallels. Remember Pearl Harbor, September 11th? Each time people said, it could never happen here. Until it did. These drones and orbs might not be an attack. Not yet, anyway. But they're a wake-up call. Something's happening, and ignoring it isn't going to make it go away. Theories aside, one thing's clear. People are paying attention. Crowdsourced footage is flooding the internet. Videos of drones, orbs, and unexplained phenomena are popping up daily. Social media is ablaze with debates, arguments, and let's be honest, memes. But behind the jokes, there's real concern. If drones are battling glowing orbs over military bases, what does that say about the state of our world? And if radioactive material is vanishing into thin air, what does that say about our preparedness? It's easy to feel overwhelmed. After all, these are massive issues. National security, public safety, even the future of airspace regulation. But maybe that's the point. The case, the confusion, the unanswered questions, it all serves to keep people distracted and divided. And while we're busy arguing over whether the orbs are aliens or advanced tech, someone somewhere might be pulling the strings. Moving forward, panic isn't the answer, neither is apathy. The best thing people can do is stay informed, ask questions, and demand transparency. Because the truth, whatever it is out there. And it's only a matter of time before it comes to light. Until then, keep your eyes on the sky. You never know what might be hovering overhead. Disappearing materials and strange events bring bigger questions to the surface. A new era of discovery. Now let's delve deeper into the implications of these mysterious events. First, consider the sheer scale of these incidents. Radioactive materials do not simply vanish without a trace, and the implications of their disappearance are monumental. This isn't just about a logistical failure, it's about potential threats to public safety, environmental health, and even global security. If these materials end up in the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic. Adding to the complexity are the glowing orbs. Described as plasmoids by some, their nature remains speculative. Are they a product of advanced technology, a naturally occurring phenomenon we've yet to understand, or something else entirely? The footage captured of these orbs interacting with drones suggests a level of intelligence or, at the very least, a sophisticated mechanism behind their behavior. For instance, the ability to disable drones mid-flight indicates a deliberate action, not random interference. This leads to another question. Why now? Why are these incidents surfacing at this particular moment in time? One theory posits that the advancements in drone technology and its increasing accessibility have inadvertently uncovered these phenomena. Drones, with their ability to fly into areas previously unreachable, might be exposing elements of our environment or even activities that were once hidden from public view. Moreover, the timing of these events, coinciding with geopolitical tensions and technological developments, raises eyebrows. The disappearance of radioactive materials and the sudden appearance of these orbs could suggest a connection, whether direct or indirect. Some speculate that these orbs might be a form of surveillance or defense mechanism, possibly deployed by foreign entities or even clandestine organizations within our own government. Others lean towards more otherworldly explanations, considering the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. Regardless of the origin, the impact on public perception is significant. Trust in governmental institutions and their ability to manage crises is already shaky. Incidents like these only add to the skepticism. When people see reports of military bases shutting down due to mysterious drones and orbs, it's hard not to question the narrative being presented, or the lack thereof. The silence from officials only fuels conspiracy theories, creating a fertile ground for misinformation and fear. But this isn't just about fear, it's also about curiosity and the human drive to uncover the unknown. The proliferation of citizen journalism and crowdsourced investigations highlights a growing demand for accountability and truth. People aren't content to sit back and accept vague explanations. They're taking to social media, analyzing footage, and connecting dots in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. This grassroots approach to uncovering the truth is both empowering and concerning. On one hand, it democratizes information, allowing ordinary people to play a role in uncovering significant events. On the other, it opens the door to the spread of misinformation, as unverified theories and doctored footage can quickly gain traction. Navigating this landscape requires a critical eye and a willingness to question everything, including one's own assumptions. Meanwhile, the government's apparent reluctance to address these incidents head-on is creating a vacuum of information. This vacuum is being filled with speculation, ranging from plausible theories to outright fantastical ideas. The lack of transparency is a double-edged sword. While it might be intended to prevent panic or protect sensitive operations, it's also eroding public trust. People want answers, and when they don't get them, they're more likely to believe the worst. In the absence of clear information, it's crucial to focus on preparation rather than panic. This means staying informed, verifying sources, and thinking critically about the information being presented. It also means taking practical steps to ensure personal and community safety, regardless of the nature of the threat. While the likelihood of a direct impact might be low, the potential consequences are high enough to warrant caution. Looking ahead, these events could have far-reaching implications for policy and regulation. The incidents involving drones and radioactive materials could lead to stricter controls on airspace and hazardous materials. They might also prompt advancements in drone detection and defense technologies, as well as increased investment in cybersecurity to prevent unauthorized access to critical systems. Furthermore, the public's reaction to these events could influence how governments handle similar situations in the future. If people demand more transparency and accountability, it might push officials to be more forthcoming with information. On the other hand, if fear and misinformation dominate the conversation, it could lead to a crackdown on information sharing and greater restrictions on personal freedoms. New Jersey's drone mystery. First sightings roll in from Morris County. People are out walking their dogs or sitting on their porches when they notice these blinking lights hovering in perfect formation. The drones move without a sound, like they're playing some kind of eerie, synchronized dance. Calls flood into local police stations, and just as folks are trying to make sense of it, bam! Reports start coming in from all over New Jersey. From the Jersey Shore to the forests of Sussex County, everyone's seeing these things. And it's not just the Garden State. New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, even Ohio are buzzing with sightings. The drones are everywhere. Then, without warning, the drones freeze mid-air, perfectly still, only to vanish moments later, leaving behind something no one could have expected. Now, these aren't your average backyard gadgets. They're not buzzing like bees or flying haphazardly like some teenager's Christmas present gone rogue. These drones hover silently, move with precision, and pull off sharp turns that would make an F-16 blush. People start whispering, are these military? Are they spies? Or, wait for it, are they not from this planet? The unidentified flying object crowd, you know, the folks who always have their binoculars ready, goes wild. Social media lights up with blurry videos, wild theories, and memes galore. Drones or aliens becomes the hottest debate since pineapple on pizza. People point out that the drone's movements don't match anything humans have built before. No noise, perfect coordination, and maneuvers that seem to laugh in the face of gravity. Could these be aliens using drones to scope us out? The internet eats it up. Meanwhile, the authorities are scrambling. The military steps in with their fancy radar and infrared cameras, trying to figure out what's up. But guess what? They've got nothing. Nada. Every time they think they've cornered one of these things, it's like the drones just vanish into thin air. The White House sends out a spokesperson to assure everyone it's probably just commercial drones, or maybe planes people mistook for drones. Because planes totally hover silently over neighborhoods at midnight. President-elect Donald Trump, never one to miss a headline, calls the whole thing incompetence and demands action. New Jersey's governor joins the chorus, calling for federal resources to figure this out. But the truth? Nobody has a clue. Theories swirl faster than the drones themselves. Foreign spies? Top secret military tests? Or, you know, maybe little green men? And then things go from weird to straight up dangerous. Flights at Stewart International Airport get grounded because drones are messing with air traffic. Pilots report near misses. Military bases start seeing these drones snooping around, and folks start wondering, is this some kind of coordinated attack? Are we under surveillance? Or is it something even darker? Now, here's where it gets nuts. Some residents, fed up with the government's lack of answers, take matters into their own hands. People start shooting at the drones, others hop in their trucks, trying to chase them down. Law enforcement is like, hey, stop that. But does anyone listen? Nope. The whole thing starts feeling like an episode of a bad reality TV show, except it's real life. And just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, boom, the government drops a bombshell. They claim they've intercepted an Iranian mothership off the Atlantic coast. This ship, they say, is launching drones to spy on America. Sounds wild, right? But hold on, they're super vague about the details. How did they find this mothership? Why did it take so long to spot? And why does the explanation feel like it was written by a Hollywood scriptwriter? For the unidentified flying object believers, this Iranian mothership story is pure distraction. They're like, aliens show up and suddenly it's all Iran's fault? The timing is suspicious, the details are sketchy, and honestly, the whole thing smells fishy. Are they covering up something bigger? Are we talking extraterrestrial life here? Or is it just another government smokescreen? As weeks turn into months, the mystery deepens. Some researchers dig into historical drone incidents, trying to find connections. They're pulling up old files, sketchy documents, and forgotten interviews. Turns out, unexplained aerial phenomena, fancy talk for weird stuff in the sky, aren't new. People have been spotting odd things flying around since the 1940s. And every time the explanations are as flimsy as tissue paper. Weather balloons, flares, swamp gas. The usual suspects get trotted out. But these drones, they're a whole different beast. Advanced tech, eerily precise movements, and a total disregard for human airspace rules. And the fact that they're popping up near military installations, that's setting off alarm bells. Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, a top-secret research facility, gets buzzed by drones multiple times. It's like these things know exactly where to go to freak people out. Speculation shifts into overdrive. Some folks think it's a foreign government showing off new tech. Others say it's private companies running illegal tests. And then there's the camp that firmly believes aliens are behind it all. Each theory seems more outlandish than the last, but without answers, nothing's off the table. The media doesn't help. Headlines scream about the New Jersey drone invasion, fueling public paranoia. News channels run endless loops of blurry footage, experts pontificating about what it could mean. But amidst all the noise, real consequences are unfolding. Airports continue to face disruptions. Commercial pilots are demanding stricter regulations, and communities are left on edge, unsure of what might come next. Even the skeptics, the people who roll their eyes at conspiracy theories, are starting to feel uneasy. Because here's the thing, no one is denying the drones exist. There's physical evidence, radar data, and countless eyewitness accounts. This isn't just a case of overactive imaginations. Something's out there, and it's not going away. They thought it was just drones, but things were about to get complicated. Buzzing questions, elusive answers. Then out of the blue, a tech mogul steps into the spotlight. Claiming to have insights into the drones, they suggest it might be part of a secret project, something to do with advancing autonomous technology. Their company has been working on AI-driven drones for years, they say, and it's possible competitors are testing similar systems. But skeptics aren't convinced. Why would private companies run tests in such public, sensitive areas? And why stay silent when the public is demanding answers? Meanwhile, grassroots investigators, regular people with too much time on their hands, are piecing together their own theories. Some follow the drones on foot, mapping their flight paths. Others use amateur radio equipment to intercept signals. A few even start crowdfunding for better tech to track and identify these mysterious machines. They're determined to crack the case, even if the authorities won't. Despite all this effort, the drones remain elusive. Every time someone thinks they've got a lead, it fizzles out. The trail goes cold and the mystery deepens. It's like these things are one step ahead, always just out of reach. Months after the first sightings, public interest starts to wane. People move on to the next big story, leaving the drone mystery unresolved. But for those who experienced it firsthand, the questions linger. What were those drones? Who was behind them? And most importantly, will they come back? Here's the deal. November of 2024 rolled in with a bang, or rather, a buzz. Reports started flying in from all over New Jersey. We're talking swarms of unidentified drones. People were gawking at the skies, half expecting little green men to wave hello. The government, of course, wasn't about to let this slide. They dropped a theory that had everyone's jaws hitting the floor. An Iranian mothership? Seriously? Now, let's be real. The mothership thing felt like a bit of a stretch, even for conspiracy lovers. But it did open a floodgate of questions. Were these drones enemy spies? Rogue tech junkies testing their DIY gadgets? Or was it something bigger, something scarier? Here's the kicker. This wasn't just about some toys zipping through the sky. Experts in fancy suits and ties started talking about how this highlighted a massive problem. Drones, once the playthings of weekend warriors and delivery drivers, had morphed into serious threats. We're talking espionage, sabotage, even attacks. Imagine looking up and wondering if that buzzing above is taking pictures of your yard or scouting for something more sinister. New Jersey's skies were a wake-up call. If this could happen here, where else? The scary part? The tech wasn't just in the hands of governments anymore. Anyone with enough cash could snag a drone online and turn it into a tool for, well, whatever their twisted imagination could cook up. And that's not even counting what's coming next. Imagine the skies crowded with not just planes and birds, but drones with unknown motives, buzzing like mechanical mosquitoes. The implications were chilling. Experts painted a bleak picture, a future where drones weren't just for delivery or fun, but for reconnaissance, chaos, and worse. Autonomous drones, the kind that think for themselves, as if regular ones weren't bad enough, were no longer sci-fi. They were real, and they were here. As the buzz, pun intended, grew louder, people started picking sides. Some bought the government's mothership story, hook, line, and sinker. Others weren't so sure. Maybe it was aliens. Maybe it was an elaborate prank. Social media went into overdrive. Theories ranged from extraterrestrial visitors to foreign spies testing the waters to, you guessed it, secret government experiments. Meanwhile, the folks in power were scrambling. If this wasn't a wake-up call, what was? Drones weren't just about convenience or curiosity anymore. They were potential weapons, military bases, airports, even your average neighborhood, all at risk. Experts started talking about needing a new playbook for airspace security. The old rules? Toss them out. This was a whole new ballgame. The solution? Pouring buckets of cash into tech that could keep up. Think super radars, AI that could track drones like a hawk watching a mouse, and systems to take them down if needed. The race was on to stay ahead of the curve. But let's be honest, the curve kept moving, and no one seemed entirely sure where it was headed. For New Jersey residents, the whole ordeal left more questions than answers. What were these drones doing here? Who was behind them? And why now? Was this the opening act of an alien invasion? A foreign power flexing its muscles? Or just some overzealous hobbyists who didn't read the rulebook? And then there was the elephant in the room, unidentified flying objects. The drones got people thinking about the bigger picture. Maybe this wasn't just about rogue technology. Maybe this was connected to something otherworldly. Some were convinced we were on the brink of the biggest revelation in human history. Others called it nonsense, chalking it up to paranoia and too many late-night sci-fi movies. Regardless of where you stood, one thing was clear. The skies were no longer just empty blue expanses or twinkling nightscapes. They were crowded, unpredictable, and a little bit terrifying. The November drone sightings weren't just an odd news blip. They were a turning point, a moment that forced everyone to rethink what they knew about security, technology, and the ever-blurring line between reality and imagination. Zooming in, the timeline of events reveals even more layers to this mystery. The initial sightings were reported by ordinary folks, people walking their dogs, commuting home, or simply stargazing. Their descriptions were eerily similar, clusters of lights moving in patterns that defied typical drone behavior. The drones seemed to operate with a precision that suggested more than just a casual hobbyist behind the controls. Then came the experts, each with their own theories. Aerospace engineers speculated about advanced drone swarms programmed with sophisticated algorithms. Military analysts pondered the possibility of foreign espionage. Tech enthusiasts dug into online forums, searching for any hints that this could be a coordinated prank or grassroots experiment. But the deeper they dug, the murkier the waters became. Meanwhile, government agencies weren't sitting idle. Reports indicate that surveillance teams were deployed to track the drones' movements. Advanced radar systems and infrared cameras were brought in to try and get a clearer picture. Yet, despite the cutting-edge tools, the drones seemed to evade detection at critical moments, vanishing into the night like shadows slipping through fingers. Some stories just won't stay buried. The digital invaders. This evasiveness only added fuel to the fire. If these were standard drones, how were they avoiding such advanced tracking systems? Was this evidence of technology far beyond what was commercially available? Or was it proof of something even more unsettling? An intelligence behind the machines, guiding them with a purpose that remained shrouded in secrecy? As days turned into weeks, the media frenzy reached fever pitch. Every news outlet had their own take, from measured analysis to outright sensationalism. Talk shows invited experts and skeptics alike, each vying to make sense of the unfolding mystery. Social media became a battleground of ideas, with hashtags like #DroneInvasion and #NJSKis trending worldwide. Among the noise, a few voices stood out. Scientists called for calm and reason, urging people to avoid jumping to conclusions without concrete evidence. Skeptics pointed to the possibility of mass hysteria, where the initial reports sparked a cascade of similar sightings, fueled by imagination rather than reality. And yet even the most grounded explanations couldn't fully account for the sheer volume and consistency of the reports. The sightings weren't confined to New Jersey for long. Soon, similar reports began trickling in from neighboring states. Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, all began logging their own encounters with mysterious drones. The geographical spread suggested coordination, further complicating the puzzle. Was this a localized phenomenon, or the first signs of something much larger unfolding on a national scale? In response, the federal government ramped up its efforts. New task forces were established, bringing together experts from defense, technology, and intelligence sectors. Their mission? To identify the origins of these drones, assess their capabilities, and determine the potential threat they posed. Publicly, officials assured citizens that they were taking the matter seriously. Privately, insiders hinted at growing concern and frustration over the lack of concrete answers. Amid the chaos, stories began to emerge that blurred the line between fact and fiction. Witnesses claimed to have seen drones engaging in impossible maneuvers, instantaneous accelerations, sharp 90-degree turns, and speeds that defied known physics. Others reported seeing the drones emit strange beams of light, scanning the ground below as if searching for something. These accounts were dismissed by some as exaggerations or fabrications, but they added a layer of intrigue that couldn't be ignored. What's undeniable is the impact these sightings had on public perception. They forced a reckoning with the reality of modern technology and its potential misuse. The age of drones had arrived, and with it came questions that society wasn't fully prepared to answer. Who has the right to control the skies? How do we balance innovation with security? And what measures can be taken to protect against threats that are both unseen and unexpected? For now, the skies over New Jersey have returned to relative normalcy. The swarms of drones have ceased, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and lingering unease. Investigations continue, but the truth remains elusive. Whether this was a glimpse into the future of warfare, a high-tech prank, or something altogether extraordinary, one thing is certain: the events of November 2024 will not be forgotten. They mark the beginning of a new chapter in the ongoing saga of humanity's relationship with the unknown, both in our skies and beyond. Imagine this: a guy spots something strange in the sky. Not a plane, not a bird, definitely not Superman. Just this weird glowing thing buzzing around, making him itch to do something. What does he do? Grabs his rifle and shoots at it. It seems impulsive, but in his mind, it's probably the most logical reaction to something that doesn't belong. But hold up. What happens next isn't some cartoon-style explosion or even a simple puff of smoke. No, what happens next changes everything about what we think we know. Let's rewind for context. Mysterious objects in the sky aren't a 21st century invention. People have been spotting bizarre flying things for centuries. In World War II, pilots started seeing glowing orbs they called Foo Fighters. These weren't just random lights. They seemed to follow planes, maneuvering in ways that baffled even the most experienced pilots. They weren't firing weapons, but their very existence was enough to shake people up. Both Allied and Axis pilots reported seeing them, which ruled out the idea that these were some kind of secret weapon from one side or the other. That left everyone scratching their heads. Were they natural phenomena, advanced technology from another source, or something even stranger? As the war ended, the world moved into an era of heightened curiosity and fear about what might be lurking beyond our understanding. In 1947, an incident in Roswell, New Mexico, propelled the unidentified flying object phenomenon into the spotlight. A rancher stumbled upon wreckage that didn't look like anything he'd ever seen before. Metallic fragments, rubber-like materials, things that didn't scream weather balloon. The military quickly swooped in, initially claiming it was a flying disc, only to retract the statement and insist it was a weather balloon after all. This sudden reversal fueled speculation. Why the mixed messages? Was there something more to the story? Conspiracy theories exploded, suggesting the government was hiding evidence of extraterrestrial contact. The Roswell story has since become a cornerstone of unidentified flying object lore, the event that turned flying saucers into a cultural phenomenon. In the 21st century, the phenomenon only grew more intriguing. Military encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, the modern term for unidentified flying objects, began to surface in the public eye. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 2004, when U.S. Navy pilots from the USS Nimitz encountered an object unlike anything they'd ever seen. This thing didn't just hover or move in a straight line. It darted around like it was playing a game, moving at speeds and angles that defied the laws of physics. The pilots captured it on video, and the footage was eventually declassified. The government's official acknowledgement of these encounters sparked even more questions. What were these objects? Advanced enemy technology? Experimental aircraft? Or something beyond human understanding? Are unidentified flying objects secrets of our own making, or visitors from the stars? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation.